Welcome. This is video number 2 for class 13. We're going to be talking about attending to revelation today. What I mean by attending to revelation is that we've been discussing revelation in Scripture. So both the apocalyptic writing that we find all throughout Scripture, as well as the letter of Revelation, which, as we've discussed, is an apocalyptic prophecy. The intention of this study has been to make us better students of the Bible, which is something we're always striving for, but also to understand how Jesus reveals God's work in the cosmos, both in Scripture, but also to allow us to see His work and His hand in our lives today. Some of the revelation killers, as I'll refer to them in our class today, that I'm particularly concerned about and I want you to consider is the pandemic of inattention that is plaguing our culture today. There's also a culture of anxiety and addiction that we need to think about as well. First, before we talk about those, I want to talk to you about neurology and some of the basic ideas about your brain. First, if you're not aware, there's 2 primary control centers that we're going to be talking about in your brain today. The first one is called the upper cortex. The upper cortex is responsible for intentionality, for planning, for the mindful attention, for focusing on something and doing a complex task or attending to something. The lower cortex is its counterpart, and the lower cortex is responsible for automated behavior. It's responsible for threat detection, for sensing pleasure opportunities, and for reacting to those things. It's interesting because scientists have discovered that things that the Bible describes as virtues, or maybe the fruits of the Spirit, like love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, and in particular self-control, these things only occur when our upper cortex is engaged. We're using that, and not our lower cortex primarily. Vices, addictions, time-wasting activities, anxieties, phobias are all associated with the lower cortex holding control over our thoughts. Because of this, I want to recommend a few different tools that we have. First, if you find yourself in the throes of one of these things, such as an addiction or anxiety, then I would first want to encourage you to reach out to somebody within our community. Maybe somebody who seems like they don't struggle quite as much with something like that, and ask for help. That's literally why we have a community of believers, so that we can encourage, strengthen, and equip one another for the work that we have to do. If we are plagued with anxiety and depression and all these vices, then we will not be able to accomplish that which God has laid before us. On the other hand, if you have some skills, then I think you have a responsibility to be looking out for the people who are still struggling with these things, to get them some training, equipping, so they might actually be able to engage in their lives in a more consistent manner. The Bible actually offers amazing answers for all these vices. However, as we have been studying, we remember that the Bible was written in a very different context. It was written for us, but not to us. So whenever we approach the Bible, we have to recontextualize. We have to take the ideas and lessons that are taught there and understand what the authors were saying, what the meaning was, and then bring it into our own context. Instead of reinventing the wheel and trying to put you through a course, I'm going to simply provide some links in the description of this video that you can check out, because there are lots of tools, some ancient and some more modern, which will help us down this path. The first tools that I want to talk about is ancient prayer techniques. So contemplative prayer stretches back for millennia. Prayers of examine are a way to kind of consider how your day went. contemplative reading practices like Lectio Divina. These are all ideas that stretch back a great deal of time, and for centuries, believers have used them to increase their attentiveness and mindfulness, their ability to attend to what's going on around them instead of being drawn into patterns of anxiety or addiction. On the other hand, there's also modern tools like the one called Optimal Work. There's going to be a link in the description to that as well. Optimal Work is a tool that I recently discovered and is just excellent for helping you understand how to bring more intentionality, more attentiveness to everything that you're doing within your work, whatever your work might be, whether you're on a board of some big company, whether you're fixing cars, or whether you're at home with your kids. Being attentive and mindful in all the things that God has trusted you with will allow you to live out the best, most positive way of living in your context. Additionally, there's another tool. It's called Purity is Possible, which can help you with anxiety, depression, or addiction issues. They go into great depth and detail about the neurology behind these patterns of behavior, as well as how to break them. Lastly, I just want to emphasize, or rather re-emphasize, the importance of the community in these efforts. We are part of a community within the church. We should be accountable to one another. If you don't have someone that you talk to regularly about your struggles, pains, hurts, angers, then you are missing out on one of the most wonderful parts of this community. If you are struggling and don't know who to reach out to, send me an email and I will try to get you in touch with someone who might be a good mentor or somebody who might be a good partner to walk along this journey with. That's all I have for today. If you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, leave them below or send me an email. And I hope to talk more about this on Sunday. Thanks.